How is screenwriting different from writing novels or short stories? In episode 12, we talk screenplays and episodic TV. Extremely Forward Soundbites is brought to you by peterfinaboutshop.com. In this episode, the music of Play Jam and Jay Putty. We talk about past and forthcoming Comic-Cons and festivals, and the two co-hosts continue to hurt my feelings and launch uncalled for assaults on my self-esteem. And we, as always, have fun. For questions, comments, suggestions, or to get involved with the show, visit extremelyforward.com.
Talk to me nice, ain't about winning, don't talk to me twice. I don't play dice, I'll make a move on the board, it's precise. The fuck is the price? I took a fiddle and dipped in the ice. I took a call and now I'm on a flight. Crew heading east, got a booking tonight. First stop is Atlanta, I got breakfast plans at the Waffle House. Next up is Miami, I'm hitting South Beach, fuck we talking about. Show out, we in Brooklyn, I'm on Flatbush and we rocking out. Then a red eye to Los Angeles, got a rich bitch waiting on the couch. Life's gonna try to hold you back. They gon' tell you that you still got time. Any minute this could all fade to black. That's why we run it up. I want more, it's not enough. I ain't come for the runner up. I go in, I'ma win a cup. I go in, I'ma fuck it up. I ain't gon' lose, I'ma level up. I've been down, but I got tough. Hey, run it up, run it up, run it up.
Well now, that starts off like something symphonic or classical, composed, you know. And then he hits you with some lateral moves, and the next thing you know...
It's on the go.
On the move.
Nothing to prove.
High energy, kicking posteriors, and collecting bona fides.
I got nothing.
That is some pretty awesome tunes right there. You know, I'm just amazed at human talent. Like, all the time. I meet people, or I hear something, or I watch something. You know, when you're scrolling through your phone, you're doing that doom scrolling at 2 a.m., and you come across like old America's Got Talent or Britain's Got Talent or whatever, and there's these really super cool people doing amazing things, and I'm just always amazed at how much talent there is. So yeah, it's amazing. If you expose yourself to the world just a little bit, then it is absolutely incredible just how much talent you can see.
Yeah. So you shouldn't be exposing yourself to the world, Pete. Remember what the judge said. Speaking of exposing yourself, Gabe, are you still holding your nuts?
Yeah, you need to let that go now. It was like a beautiful moment for me, and now you're just like ruining it.
You know, here I was thinking to myself that I gave you some good, friendly, uplifting ideas, Gabriel. And all you do is throw it sarcastically in my face. I mean, by now, I expect it from Sandy, but you're supposed to be the sweet one.
No, it was good.
Too late. Now I'll never say a kind word to you for as long as I live again. And I hope you die slowly and painfully of scurvy. And I'll move swiftly along, just like your dad did when he abandoned you and your mother.
Ouch.
So, Sandy, did you have a good break?
Yeah, pretty good.
What did you do?
We just stayed like home, you know. That's the best thing for us, really, staying home and just chilling.
Is that like Netflix and chill?
Sure. I mean, you know, he's hot, I'm hot, why not? But that's not really a thing anymore, so you just make yourself sound old, you know, like old people trying to be cool. That's what you sound like, Pete.
Great. No, I'm glad you had a good break. I mean, thank you for not oversharing. Jeez.
It was good. It was good. And really, I mean, everything is always so on the go, and we're always going places and pleasing people and doing things. So for us, the real treat is just actually staying home, making some chow, vegging in front of the TV, like literally doing nothing, and just staying in our jammies all day.
That does sound fun. And Gabe went on a bit of a... I know you went on a bit of a trip. Is that it? Was it fun?
Totally, yeah.
Are you going to make me beg for interaction like Sandy, or are you going to share your adventures with the people?
Mountain biking. So I'm like an outdoorsy type. I like getting the dirt on my bike and just taking off into the woods. And I saw some squirrels too.
Yeah, that's a running joke that's now out of breath, okay?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, I hear what Sandy says about staying home. And like for me, though, the great outdoors is my happy place. So I like anything outside, camping or canoeing or hiking or biking.
Cruising.
I like nature, So yeah. How about you?
Well, it's been busy my side. I haven't really had a break or anything yet, so we brought out that casual video episode.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was cool. Like seeing jolly old England.
And I had a pretty non-stop action-packed life since we got back from the London Book Fair. I mean, there's no complaints at all, but yeah, busy.
Any news?
Not really. It's just all those beneath the surface of the iceberg stuff that I've been busy with, So I lined up some interviews for us with some really amazing writers that we'll be talking to here on Soundbites. And I've been working on a new short film, and I'm getting both Mind's Eye Theatre and Majesty ready for publication. So yeah, loads of that.
When's the new shop up and running?
Oh, there's so much work going into that at the moment. So yeah, I mean, I don't have a date for you yet, but I'll let you know. It shouldn't be too long now, though. We're getting close to getting all the various millions of components that goes into it. We're about ready to line them all up and getting them all ready.
Cool. Then let me get that out of the way and tell you there's been no comments at all, despite me asking for them. So I'm not angry. I'm just really disappointed. But if you want, comment. Let us know you're here. Let me know you care. Like, subscribe, comment, share. That like button, you can press it. You can press it so hard. And, you want to. Please, or not, and I'll just cut myself like I did when saying left One Direction. So, yeah, really, we like hanging out, and we hope you do too. And you're welcome to hang with us. So, if you do enjoy the banter and the music and the stories, and you are interested in storytelling or tips or things like that, then please hang out with us. Click comment, share, hit notify. Send us a mail at shownotes at extremelyforward.com. That's extremely forward, like the forward to a book, FOREWORD, forward, extremelyforward.com. You can send us a mail there. Anything, some attention, please.
And if you really like us and want to support the show, send us your PIN number. No, I'm totally kidding. We don't ask for money here. So our sponsor is petervanderwaldshop.com, and all you need to do to help us and support us is to buy Peter's books and stuff. And right now the shop isn't even open. So you can tell that money isn't the priority around here. So Pete cares more about telling stories than hoarding wealth. And this hangout is free, and Pete's updates and club is free. And when his books come out, you can buy them because they are awesome. And if you like horror and sci-fi, you will absolutely love his shit. But there is not a Patreon or a coin collection or like a subscribe for money thing here going on at all. This is not a begging drive.
So, yeah, let's also just take a quick look at the diary and events. April is a busy one. I mean, we just got back from Cornwall Comic-Con as well, and it was awesome. It was just outside the town of Wadebridge at the Royal Cornwall Showgrounds. It was really fun to attend. I mean, we saw some cool costumes and some great people, connected with some old friends, had some great chow, all the many things that make Comic-Cons fun. And we've got Belfast EasterCon coming up April 18th through 21st. So if you're in Northern Ireland, then there's a bit of action heading your way. And on the 26th of April, Plymouth has a Comic-Con, although there will be another one in May. April 1 is at the Life Centre in Central Park, and the May 1 is at Marjan University. So loads of local action here in the south of Devon.
So yeah, there's always something happening, but not everything is like big, So what would you say is like the next big kind of event?
Yeah, I mean, they're all really big as far as I'm concerned, I love connecting with readers all over. I love it for folks to come and say hi, interact directly. It's really the highlight of my calendar is always just interacting directly with readers. I love it. I absolutely love it. So numbers-wise, it's not always the ones you expect that are going to be the big shows that are going to be the big ones. So, for example, when I knew we were doing a Cornwall thing, and I absolutely adore Cornwall, but I didn't think it's going to be a very big one. And yet, it was very respectable. It held its own. Far more people showed up than I anticipated. And the vibe was as big and as giant and as amazing as anywhere else. So yeah, I mean, we have in May, we've got the Liverpool Comic Con coming up. That might be big because it's a big city. We've got the MCM London in May, which is huge. I know that's like one of the really big ones. There's a Horror Con in Sheffield. And at the end of May begins the Hay Festival. That's world famous. It's huge. The Hay Festival in Wales, it's one of the biggest and best and longest running literary festivals in the world, I believe. So there's always something going on somewhere, and all you need to do is get your imagine going by going.
Cool. Okay, well, a quick punt and then we can do the topic du jour. Pete's book is coming out soon. Pre-orders open on June 1st on petervanderwaldshop.com. It's Mind's Eye Theater, a collection for the brave. This is an ideal book for those wanting to push their own boundaries and explore darker parts. Turn your commute into an ordeal, your trip into trauma, or simply turn your regular reading into a ride you will never forget. These aren't simply 12 short stories. They are 12 well-told, well-crafted shockers, and they are as beautiful and well-crafted as they are disturbing.
So if you like horror, if you like dark stories, if you like stories that press your buttons, if you like collecting beautiful books, this one's for you. Peter van der Waldt's Mind's Eye Theater. It's a collection not to be missed.
Right. So what are we talking about today?
Oh, hell yeah. We skipped like a whole week, didn't we? We were still talking and chatting, and then there was this video episode.
Yeah, and thanks for watching, those of you who did. By the way, Mom, you especially, thank you.
We're talking screenplays and episodic TV writing.
Craft or the business of?
Those are two completely separate discussions, but the business of it all is changing. I mean, it does really depend on where you live, what the screenwriting business is like. So like the industry, as they call it, I love it when there's such an inherent arrogance in that, just calling your industry like the industry. But now the industry varies a lot from country to country. So it depends on like really where you're based, what your experience will be. There's quite a lot of info on the web about the American scene. And that is, to an extent, that is still the big industry, the big league, despite the lecturing and the posturing and the worship of sequels and remakes and franchises. So far, the American scene is still holding out as the big one. It certainly does have most of the money, that's for sure. I mean, the Indians land on the moon for $76 million, and Hollywood makes a movie about going to the moon for $220 million. And that's just absolutely, there's something wrong with that, but whatever.
So what's the game like, the business of it?
But yeah, so it depends on where you are. The industry varies a lot. Different countries have different organizations and platforms to develop new talent. So do a search wherever you live to see who is developing writers, because there might be some programs or projects or competitions or mentorships or training programs from your local broadcasters or film organizations or whatever to kind of bring new talent up. Those are always great because it's incredibly difficult to break into it. So unfortunately, some opportunities are limited by intrinsic characteristics as opposed to merit or need, as that fashionable but disgusting trend has taken root in the arts in many places, and it's really a pity, but, and in time it will correct. We can all just pray and hope it does the ahistorical thing for once and does not overcorrect. But yeah, hopefully anyone who has talent is welcome to submit and to do that. So I hope there is something where you live that you can get into. The British industry is a bit more open than the Hollywood one, which is a good thing. And then there's all kinds of organizations all over. NFVF, I know, is active in South Africa, and there's things happening in Oz and wherever. So, yeah, there's a lot of different scenes. Traditionally, now it is changing, like I said, and even Hollywood, in all its arrogance and self-assured certainty of itself, is starting to recognize that what they're doing currently is unsustainable. But currently, as the game stands, as it's been standing for a while, is that writers aren't celebrated at all. The studios buy scripts, and sometimes they alter them unrecognizably. And the likelihood of anyone brand new writing a script and getting it made as is pretty much zero. Okay, the studio dominance also means that the money involved in making films is so big that they can't afford to make one that doesn't sell. So they'll rather make Spider-Man 973 as opposed to doing anything new that may or may not work, because the executives have $220 million of investor money on the line, and they can't afford to lose that. And that's why they go with sure things, or what they consider sure things. Disney and others are discovering that that's not necessarily the way things pan out, especially not when you're trying to lecture your audience. But yeah, it's very tricky to break in because of that. And directors and studios and execs tend to work with writers that they know. So the trick to getting into breaking in is essentially getting to the attention of execs or directors or studios, getting known by them so that they can use you. This sometimes involves kissing ass if you're unfortunate enough to not have any pull yourself and you're just depending on other people to give you work. But I think the idea is it's the proximity principle, right? You want to be around people that are in the industry. So I think the idea is to write a lot of scripts, get them out there, get them circulating, hope someone sees one, pray they like you enough to own you, and then do whatever it is they tell you to do. I mean, that's how the game works currently, with movies as well as episodic TV. For TV, you can get a bit more regular work, and they might, stick you in a writing room somewhere, which is a nice gig, I suppose, if you can do it. But it's long hours, and it's not necessarily all that easy. So national broadcasters or others might have some other funnels for you depending on where you live, but it will always be similar. Writers are not very high up in the food chain when it comes to movies or TV, generally and broadly speaking. I mean, a couple of them can really rise out and become famous. So there's this guy called Jimmy McGovern, for example, who wrote a lot of TV shows here in the UK. He's responsible for some of the best TV ever, in my opinion. I mean, he did a show called Cracker with Robbie Coltrane, who's now, of course, passed on, but that show was just spectacular. And he's done tons of other things. So, yeah, I mean, once you prove that you can tell a story and that you're pretty good, the likelihood is that they'll start using you over and over and over. And that's one way to make a living. So that's not bad. I might want to look at specifically writing for people outside of the US, because I think the US industry is just so arrogant and closed. And everybody, they're totally convinced that everybody wants to be them or wants to break into them. And that's not necessarily the case. I was meeting with this distributor for one of my movies in London a while ago, and he was too stupid to understand it was a job interview. He thought I was begging him to read my script. He didn't get that I was interviewing him to see if he can distribute stuff. So there's such an arrogance there, but I think they're going to run into more problems than even they have now. So it might be easier and more pleasant to try and write for a different country, a different place, maybe Canada, maybe Australia. There's a lot of stuff happening all over the world. One thing the streamers have done is open the field a bit. So now there's, Korea is bringing out a lot of shows. Japan is bringing out shows. You know, the Nordic noir guys are bringing out shows, and anyone anywhere in the world can buy a script from anyone anywhere in the world. You don't have to necessarily live where you write. It sometimes helps with contracts and things like that, and sometimes they insist that local people are used, which is not necessarily a very smart thing to do long-term commercially. But yeah, there are things like that. So go and see. Write a lot of scripts. I think that's the point.
And what about like a writer-director like you?
Okay, so those are known as showrunners, and you don't get to be one for a while. They are going to put you through your paces way before they trust you with anything like that. Sometimes there's a lucky break and somebody, bucks the trend. But again, the biggest problem with contemporary movies is that 5 studios have priced all competitors out of the market in a very predatory way. They've kind of enforced the monopoly on things by keeping the smaller players out and making things too impossibly, ridiculously expensive to do things. But now they've kind of painted themselves into a corner. And that's a beautiful bit of karmic retribution there.
Oh, that's depressing.
It is. But the reality is that you'll have to face this to some extent if you want to make a go at writing TV or movies.
How?
Despite everything, good stories and good talent stands out. So the trick, again, write a lot. I think you want to start out writing a hell of a lot so that you can develop your skills, your craft. But once you get to know your shit, you want to keep writing a hell of a lot so that you can get noticed. There's no cookie-cutter career path. If you have a lot of scripts out there, and a lot of good scripts out there, you're going to be noticed, because it's not actually that easy to get good scripts. And good screenwriters are actually quite rare. So if you develop your craft, and you stay committed to your craft, and you put a lot of stuff out there, you will be noticed. Write a lot, write well, expose your writing and yourself to as many people in the industry as you can. And that is about as good a shot as you can give yourself.
Does it pay well?
Yeah, less than you might think, For a new screenplay, if you somehow make it past all the gatekeepers, you'll end up with less than the average yearly salary. Now, given the work you put in, it might even sound like a lot when they give you a dollar figure, but it's not a lot. And unless you make a name for yourself and some execs or directors start using you a lot, the work is also very sporadic. So if you want a day job, I'd recommend focusing on TV rather than movies. And when I say TV, I literally mean streaming, because it's the same thing. What's changed is the way they deliver things. I was the other day that we were talking about the way they used to sell movies was there were these different windows. So you would have a theatrical release, and they would sell you at the theatrical release level. And then you would have a pay TV release. And then after the pay TV release, there was first a DVD release, then a pay TV release, then a subscription release, and then a free. And nowadays they speak of TVOD, transactional video on demand, or SVOD, subscriber video on demand, or the latest, greatest, flashiest new toy is called AVOD, which is advertising funded video on demand. Now that's the new thing that everyone's on about. But the truth is, we used to call that TV in the 1950s. The only difference between that and then is really the technologies used to transmit it, but it's the same thing. All that's changed is that back in the day, they knew how to cut things smoothly and elegantly and beautifully so that it didn't interrupt the story. Now, that's a lost art form, clearly, because you watch these platforms and then ads are placed willy-nilly, and there's no skill in how they put the ads into the shows, but it's still the same thing. So streaming is TV and TV is streaming. It doesn't really matter whether it's being broadcast from an antenna or whether it goes via an internet cable. That's irrelevant to the end user's experience. it's virtually the same thing. So, yeah, I mean, if you want the day job, I would go into TV. But it's hard to break into, and I would prepare for relatively low pay, long hours, and pretty sucky conditions overall.
Hell of a sales job you're doing here.
Yeah, I know, it's sad, but, I mean, things will change. The bloated, protected, perverse system that's currently going, the arrogance of the players involved, it's ultimately unsustainable. It will change, whether they like it or not. But I'd rather that you or that someone new gets into this gig pre-toughened with like a super abundant work ethic and a thick hide, because the reality is you won't make it otherwise, Now that you know what the odds are, and you expect to work very hard, and you know that it's not going to be instant fame and instant riches, and you know that there's all kinds of politics afoot that can affect your success, and that you'll have to fight your way through anyway, if you are crazy enough to still be interested in it, there are perks, and it's a great field.
Ooh, well, thank God. What are those?
Well, if you get a name, and if you put out a lot of scripts, and your scripts earn well for the production companies, you might earn a pretty decent living at it, but there's only a handful of folks who do that. But it does add up. And if you really become well known, you can get points. So that's like a portion of the profits at the end of a movie. But just always be careful when people offer you things like that in contracts, because Hollywood is a way of ensuring that any movie they touch loses money. It's kind of like a creative accounting, so that they don't have to pay tax or pay back investors. So somehow every movie is always a total failure, and yet everyone walks around making a lot of money from it. So just be careful when people offer you things like, oh no, we're not going to pay you, but we're going to give you money at the end from the profits. Be a little wary of that. Yeah, but the trick there is to just live in such a way that you don't get yourself into trouble between gigs. So be debt free and stuff like that. Okay. The big payoff is creative. Good products always involve teams. No good story, not even a book, involve just the writer and the work. With novels, there are these long stretches, however, where you are completely alone. It's just you, and it's your computer, and it's months of work, and no one sees it, and no one sees you, and maybe you don't even see anyone. It takes 6 to 18 months or sometimes longer to write the novel, and at the end there's an agent or an editor that may or may not have a comment, and that may or may not, that you may or may not incorporate into the final book. Successful writers do have teams, but writing novels and things like that is still a very solitary work. It's a lot like magic, and if you're the magician, the trick doesn't work on you. Now, with screenwriting, it's similar. It's really the same thing, depending on the level that you're involved in, because the thing is, when you write a novel, and the writing is done, the novel is done, the product is complete, you have something. However, when you have a screenplay, you're nowhere near a finished product. A screenplay is but one small part of a larger whole. So you write a screenplay, you get paid, and then other people make it happen, and they complete it. And what's amazing about that is that the trick works on you. So you can write your little movie, you can send it off, and then other people do with it whatever they will. Now, I can only speak from my own experience. I've written scripts for other people, and what comes out at the end of the day bears no resemblance to what I actually wrote. They take it and they do with it whatever they want. There's nothing you can do about that. Nowadays, I only write for myself. So I don't do spec scripts. I don't write for other people. If I write something, it's because I'm going to direct it and I'm going to produce it myself for my company. So I don't serve the industry at all. I am a storyteller. I serve my audiences directly, my viewers and my readers. Those are the people I care about. So if I write a screenplay, I know I'm going to be directing the screenplay. But even so, I have an inordinate amount of control over what happens to my work once I write it. But even so, you put down the screenplay, and then you produce and direct and do whatever you do. But all these other people are involved. The cameraman brings something to it that you could not have possibly predicted. The light guy does a trick that you couldn't do. The music guy brings his things or her things. Set design, makeup, special effects, visual, practical effects, and digital effects. And the actors, of course. Everybody brings something to the show. So you're standing there having conceived this entire story, and yet the most magical thing happens in that it's no longer your story, and so you're there firsthand for the original magic. It is amazing. And for me, that is total magic.
Do you like turn your own stories, either your short stories or your novels, do you turn them into movies?
You can. I mean, I think there are some writers that do that, but you'll find that, and I don't. For me, and you'll find that for a lot of people, the two art forms are very different. So writing a novel and writing a short story and writing a screenplay, different things make these things work, and they all work differently. So you get like a Stephen King, for example. He writes a lot of novels, and then he also writes screenplays. So Storm of the Century was a screenplay he wrote. But then he would write The Shining, and Stanley Kubrick would go and he would make The Shining. Now, allegedly, he's warmed up to it, but apparently he didn't like what Kubrick did with The Shining. But The Shining is Kubrick's story, not Stephen King's, when it goes to film. So the two art forms are very different. How it might work is if you write your novel, it might be noticed by someone with some pull somewhere, and they will buy an option on your book. So that gives them the exclusive right to turn that book into a movie. Generally, you take the money and you shut up. You say, thank you very much, and that's it. You go away. The guy who bought the option can do whatever he wants with your work. Don't expect to be consulted unless you have a big name or something. And don't expect that what ends up on the screen is going to be your creative vision. It's nice extra income for your book if you can get it. And also, they might not buy the option on your book to actually make it a movie. They may do it just to keep other people away from making a movie. Or they might really want to turn it into a movie, but because of politics or financial pressures or whatever the hell, they never get around to making it. So there are tons of great novels with options regularly being renewed out there that never gets made into movies.
And writers' unions?
Yeah, okay. I've got to be careful what I say, to an extent, I suppose. I'm not a fan. I don't play like that. I dislike unions and guilds and societies and things like that. I don't trust it. The traditional industry likes to force writers to be part of these things. They like you to play by these rules. And they have all these requirements, and that is how they're going to ensure that people play the way they like to play. But the truth is that the game has changed, and they do not control how much they used to control. And the gatekeepers aren't what they think themselves to be, not anymore. So I don't like when people have political requirements for work to be made. I don't like that kind of stuff. My loyalty is 1,000% to my audience. So I understand that I exist to serve my viewers and my readers. I don't care who's upset by that. And I also understand that I'm a bit of a clown. I'm a bit of a jester. I'm a storyteller, right? So my job is to entertain, like a clown. I'm not there to lecture people, preach at them. And all this means that very often I don't get along with the incumbent powerful of the industry. Check the worry in my navy brown eyes, you know. This industry has been monopolized for too long, and those days are over. They might just not know it yet. It's not good to let people walk all over you. So I understand the need for like basic working conditions and things like that. But you also have to take work when you can get it. And for someone to say, oh, no, but that's not union, when you're starving, it's very easy for them because they're Hollywood writers with $100,000 incomes and cars and stuff. But I don't know where my next meal is coming from. If somebody's going to give me money for food to write them something, I'm going to write it to them, and I could give less than 2 shits what the Writers Guild of America or the Association of Authors or whatever thinks about it. They can get fucked. Too many people, little people, real people, get hurt when organizations decide they want to intimidate the world and behave in menacing ways. Like the writer's strike, a lot of people, a lot of crew, gaffers, runners, light technicians, music people, a lot of people got very hurt by that. And it's all sweet and it's all nice because we're fighting for our rights, but the fighting for your rights often involve pissing on other people's livelihoods, and I'm not a fan of that. So, yeah, I'm not a union guy. They might yet force me in certain situations to join their little powwow, and I probably will sell out if it's in my interest. But on a fundamental level, I'm not a fan of those kinds of things. I don't understand what they add. I think a contract lawyer can replace a union, and with the dues they charge these days, they're probably going to be freaking less expensive as well. If you have a contract and you feel like you're being ripped off, get a good lawyer to look at it, pay them the money, and go from there. Letting some lobby group with all kinds of other additional political agendas, quote unquote, agitate on your behalf in Westminster or Washington or someplace like that, I'm not a fan. So yeah, that's what it is.
Okay, and then is it different with streaming like Netflix or whatever if you write for them?
Like I said, streaming TV, same thing these days. Absolutely the same. The only difference is streaming has movies as well as TV series. But depending on the format you're working in, whether it's maybe we can just quickly go into this. There's sitcoms, which is your kind of, there's a live audience. Tends to be like 3 cameras, and they cut between camera 1, camera 2, camera 3, but there's a limited set. And those tend to be like half-hour long shows. There's still that happening. Okay, so that's the one kind of show. Then the other kind is a 1-camera show. That's the dramas, the character-driven stuff, right? There's things like procedural stuff, which is like your Law and Orders or your CSIs. It's more about the whole, every story is almost independent, and you can watch and you don't have to follow the thing. You can just kind of go as it goes along. And then there's the character-driven stuff, which kind of unfolds like a Game of Thrones. If you watch episode 7 and you haven't seen the others, you're lost. So you have to watch the whole thing. So, and those tend to be like hour-long shows. And then there's movies, and the movies are, like they were movies back in the day. But now they're just being streamed directly. It's a good thing to get into if you can. It's magic if you can. You have to persevere, though. Write a lot of scripts. Send out a lot of scripts. Keep close proximity to people who can get you jobs. Be active. Be out there. Keep pushing. And if you're talented, they'll pick you up.
And that's a nice segue into disappearing and being ignored forever by the powers that be.
At least until we make a next wave.
We're being lullabied out today by...
That's Jay Petty telling us about hard times.
Yeah, and finding a source of light to keep you going no matter what. Until next week.
Group hug.
I know the better days are on the way. Just because you bend don't mean you'll break. Sometimes it takes time and it's hard to realize, but trust me, good things come to those who wait. Ooh, ooh, it's a good life. Ooh. Like the sky is gonna fall and the walls are caving. You're running down the street to keep your white flag waving. Ooh, ooh. Hard times come but they don't stay. Sometimes getting out means going through, and holding on when you got nothing to hold on to. The weight can make you feel like you will break, but you'll never know just how much that you can do. It's a good life. Even when it feels like the sky is gonna fall and the walls are caving, you're running down the street to keep your white flag waving. Hard times come but they don't stay. They don't stay. Even when it feels like the sky is gonna fall and the walls are caving, you're running down the street to keep your white flag waving. Hard times come but they don't. I know the better days are on the way. Just because you bend don't mean you'll break.